exchanging ideas, building. I don't see animosity, I don't see hatred, I don't see division. On the side of the sisters, I don't see any animosity, I don't see hatred, I don't see division. I see sisters working together. And I'm saying I, but this is an observation of the elders and the council. What do we see? We see the house of David getting along. We see the house of David, you know, growing. And no arguments, no fights. Nobody talk about I'm taking you to council. You know what I'm saying? Which is a statement I grew up hearing and gives me a headache to even think about sometimes. But let's go to Leviticus chapter 19, verse 16. We are all adults, we're mature, and at this point in our lives, we're supposed to be teaching these laws to our children and, of course, observing it ourselves, right? So in the book of Leviticus chapter 19, verse 16, it says this.
Reading from the book of Leviticus 19, verse 16. Thou shalt not go up and down as a talebearer.
Now the reason why we're reading that verse is because sometimes that's what causes arguments. Okay? And it's not always how it started. In other words, somebody might say something a certain way and then it's misrepresented, it's turned around, it's flipped, and then other people get upset, right? Some people might hear a conversation and think it's about them when it's not about them. Okay? Some people might just feel neglected, left out, right? What that is more than meets the eye. There are spirits meant to divide us. There are spirits meant to keep us apart, stop growth, all of that. Because think about it, if the Most High said, you know, supposed to be brothers, supposed to be sisters, supposed to be a family. The Most High said it was the family of Israel that left out of Egypt, right? Right? Yes. So obviously Satan is the opposite. He's going to try to do just the opposite. He's going to try to divide us and all that. Read that again, my brother.
Reading from the book of Leviticus chapter 19, verse 16. Thou shalt not go up and down as a talebearer among thy people, neither shalt thou stand against the blood of thy neighbor.
Think about that. This is a law. This is just not my opinion, how I feel about it. I do feel that way about it. But this is the law. You're commanded not to be a talebearer, a gossiper and a whisperer. You're commanded not to do that. This world tells you the opposite. Shows you the opposite, right? Like it's a popular thing. I can talk about this brother and then gain friendship over here, right? Everybody hates him, so I talk about him when I'm with them, right? That's what the world teaches you. But the Most High said don't do that. Don't do that. That's a law. So now when you read the law of the Most High, you come to see what righteousness is, okay? And not only that, you can say things about people and to get them killed. Okay, so we got to be aware of these things and make sure that we're not a part of it. It's so hard to shed the layers of the old man. It is so hard to shed the layers of the old woman. Meaning what? The person you were before you came in here. Okay? Before we came in here, we were involved in all these things. All of us on some level. Maybe even in the family. Right? You know, you got some family members that don't talk to each other and all that. It's the same nonsense. You understand? But now, coming into being spiritual people, we have to put these things away. You have to learn. I have to learn. We have to learn how to keep this shut. Might be some juicy stuff. You might got some goods on me. You might have to keep that mouth shut. And that's very important because that's an exercise of an adult and a mature person. Because now what you say about me might get turned around. You might even have said something mixed, like half good, half bad, but people don't like drama. They only like the drama, right? Give me the bad, give me the bad, right? So being spiritual means that we have to learn how to be mature, how to not give in, okay? Right, so now read the next verse.
Verse 17. Thou shalt not hate thy brother in thy heart.
Does it mean I can hate my sister in my heart? Does it mean that? Or does it mean that, okay, because I'm a brother, I can hate my sister, or the sister can hate the brother? Does it mean that?
No.
Read it again.
Thou shalt not hate thy brother in thine heart.
In your mind. In your mind. Don't have anything against anybody in your mind. It's not right. And if you heard or you suspect, why not talk to that person? Why not? Talk to that person and get it out your mind. Read on.
Thou shalt in any wise rebuke thy neighbor.
First rebuke yourself. Right? Rebuke yourself first. But then it says what? Thou shalt in any wise rebuke or correct thy neighbor. So if your neighbor is going off, instead of setting up with a stone, get ready to stone him, why don't you correct him? Correct him first. Because guess what? Today is him, tomorrow is you, right?
Yeah.
So what do you think? Don't you think that out of mercy and love, you shouldn't go to your neighbor and correct him? Of course. But we're all neighbors in here. And what we observe in here is love. But of course, every now and then there's going to be a little bit of friction. We're adults. You know, we don't have the same mind. You know, we might come from similar places or different places. We might not all see things the same way, right? That's where conversation comes in. So we can get on the same page. Read on.
And not suffer sin upon him.
Right, don't suffer sin upon him or allow him to be destroyed. Read on.
Verse 18. Thou shalt not avenge nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people.
How many times have you heard this? Many times. How many times have you read this? Many times. But now get into to the mind frame of doing it. Okay? If somebody's gossiping over there, you should be the first to walk away. Before you walk away, you say, that ain't right. Okay? Because then you suffer sin upon your neighbor. If somebody is doing something that you know is wrong, tell them it's wrong. Don't do that no more, man. It's against the law. Okay? But if you just walk away, then you suffer sin upon your neighbor. So you got to correct them first. Read on.
But thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself.
You are commanded to love your neighbor. You're commanded not to hate, and you're commanded to love. By the Most High. Not just saying if you feel like it, or if it's in you, or, you know, if that's how you roll, right? That's not what it's saying. You are commanded to not hate, but to love your neighbor. Commanded. Commanded, which means what? You're responsible for that. So what if you do hate your neighbor, or your brother, or your sister? You're responsible for that, because you're not doing what the Most High said to do. Read.
I am the Most High.
I am the Most High. Meaning what? I know best. I know better. This is what's going to promote community and growth and being a neighbor and all that good stuff. All right? Read on.
Verse 19. You shall keep my statutes.
Stop. That's all I want to read in there. You shall keep my statutes. Keep my laws over your own thoughts, over your own what you think is right or wrong. Okay? Let's move from there and go to the book of Amos chapter 3 verse 3. Amos chapter 3 verse 3. These lessons is lessons that we should be teaching our children, right? So sometimes when we end up teaching it back to each other, it's like, damn, you know, I know this stuff. Yeah, you know, but what are you doing with it? What are you doing with it? If it comes to a challenge and your emotions rise up, what happens? Do you remember this? Or do you just go with how you feel that minute? I've seen plenty of fights on the street and in jail and all that. And all they say, I don't want to hear it. Nah, I ain't even hearing you now, son. What does that mean? Just the opposite of this, right? Just the opposite. So we got to work within ourselves to be right in the Most High's eyes. And the way we do that is by keeping His law. Amos chapter 3 verse 3.
Read from the book of Amos chapter 3 verse 3. Can two walk together except be agreed?
Read that again, brother.
Can two walk together except they be agreed?
Exactly. Is that possible? Can we walk together knowing we're not of the same mind? We don't have the same objectives. Can we? We could be straight up different. Nothing in common, but can we walk together? No, we can't. Because we don't have the same goals.
Son.
I might be trying to go to the end of the block, you might be trying to go to the middle. Two different things. Two different things. So read that again.
Can two walk together except they be agreed?
From there we go to the book of James chapter 4 verse 1. Think about that. Which means that now you have to learn what that person is thinking. Not just assume, nah, he's not with me. Nah, they not with me. I can tell. Don't assume. Find out. Because you might be able to find some middle ground. You might be able to find out you actually believe and want the same things. That's very important. So James chapter 4 verse 1 is commenting on that same question. Can two walk together unless they be agreed? Read.
Read for the book of James, chapter 4, verse 1. From whence come wars and fightings among you?
Good question, right? Because sometimes you see people in the congregation, even in the world, whole congregation just get up and just start fighting each other, throwing punches, and I've seen that in some of these fancy churches, right? Big old Coliseum looking church, and everybody just get up and start going at it, right? Why? Because why? You know, one agrees with the priest, one agrees with that man, and so forth. They go at it, boy. They go at it. You see sisters, sisters up in there too. You know, they're doing their thing. You ain't gonna hit my man. You know what I mean? Why? Because they don't agree, right? But read that again.
From whence come wars and fighting among you?
I'll tell you where it comes from. What we read in the book of Leviticus, the mind. The mind. That's where it all starts. You understand? You got to overcome, and the way to do that is first to correct yourself, but also learn to speak to your brothers, speak to your sisters. We don't really have that problem in here. We have had. We've had some WrestleMania type stuff up in here. Oh yeah, no doubt. Oh shoot. You started. You ain't seeing nothing yet. Listen, man, I done heard some words in here that made me think I was in the streets. Okay, some 4-letter words and some all kind of things I heard. A lot of times I wasn't here when they started going with the fist, but they did that. You know what I'm saying? I had to step in front between people a lot of times. Trust me in this same place right here. Right after service, by the way. Right? So that says a lot, right? It wasn't really into the service. Read on.
Come they not hence, even of your lust that war in your members.
What does that mean? Your lust that war in your members. It's inward. It's inside. It's in your mind. Sometimes, whatever reason, you want to be the most popular, the most heard, knowing the most precepts, okay, or the favorite of somebody. All of these things, which is kind of silly, right? Because in reality, you're all prince and you're all princesses, right? What does that mean? We're all the favorites of the Most High.
Right.
Okay, and in order to be in good standing with Him, what does He ask all of us to do? Keep the law. But here it's showing you where wars come from. Come they not hence, even of your lusts that war in your members? Yeah, that's where it comes from. Meaning that you want to be popular, you want to be seen. You know what I'm saying? Some people want to hog the light, they want to come and talk all day. They just, me, look at me. Right? Then you down there, I'm tired of you. Right? So the Most High is showing you that, listen, what do you do with a person like that? Because now, might be somebody that should be up here.
Right.
But you might step, why you ain't let somebody else talk? Or how come you raise your hand every time?
Right.
You know, how come you always got something to say? Because that angers people. You know, or something else might have been there for the person to say, but it wasn't allowed to come out because the other big mouth just wouldn't shut up. You understand what I'm saying?
Good.
Now, we're people of the Most High, we're righteous people, so we have to learn how to overcome these things. And the beginning of all of this is conversation. It's a better way to do it, right? Like, just, brother, let some of the other brothers talk. And I know that some people want to hear other brothers, so you got a lot of good ideas. Always throw a compliment out there. That's good. But, let somebody else speak, because this way, if tables are turned now and it's you can accept the same kind of treatment. Right?
All
right. Let's read on.
Verse 2. Ye lust and have not.
Right.
Ye kill and desire to have, and cannot obtain. Ye fight and war, yet ye have not, because ye ask not.
Right. See, a lot of times it's just what's in us, and a lot of times, like I'm saying to you, it is so hard to shed that old man, that old woman. A lot of what you did in the world comes back to you in the righteous environment. So sometimes what happens is that old behavior just takes you over. That old way of speaking or that old way of acting. Right. You know what I'm saying? It's just the way it is. Now, the Most High hates pride.
Right.
You understand that? So that's a fight you're always going to have to fight. not to be overly proud. You might know something, but is it necessary for it to come out at that time? You know, is it, if somebody is saying something, do you go and show, I know more? Or do you just let that be, and when the time comes, add, well, yeah, well, you know, you add to it.
Right.
A lot of times, we want to show up each other, right? And that causes issues.
Right.
It causes people not to like you. It causes people to want to fight you or argue with you or just tell you to shut up, right? Now, I'm going to tell you what happens with that last thing, the shut up thing. Most people won't do it. Serious. So that's where now the feelings start to come into play.
Come.
But the law says the opposite, right? So you're supposed to rebuke your neighbor. Rebuking your neighbor, like I said, is not, you're not running at them like you're playing football. You're going to them humbly. You know what I'm saying? In a humble manner, say, listen, you know, X, Y, and Z. In other words, the same way that you want to be spoken to, you speak to people. Okay? And that usually settles it, because sometimes you make people think that way. If you try to out them in front of everybody, then you lost them. Right? Okay, so that's important. Let's go from there to the book of Proverbs chapter 15, verse 18. Because I think a lot of us from the world have issues with anger and temperament and so forth and so on. And in the world, you're shown to let that be seen and take light and all that. People love controversy and arguments and so forth, right? But that's not what the Most High is about. Proverbs 15, 18.
Reading from the book of Proverbs, chapter 15, verse 18. A wrathful man stirreth up strife.
You gotta ask yourself, am I that person? A wrathful man, a wrathful woman. Are you easily ticked off? You know what I'm saying? You know, do you hear a sound or a word or even a look and you get mad? Think about that. A look. I mean, I can be looking at him, but he back there think I'm looking at him. I ain't double-eyed or nothing like that. I ain't cross-eyed. But you know, you can be like, why are you always looking at me? But I'm actually looking at this dude, this brother right here. Right? But you all the way across the room swearing I'm looking at you or talking about you. Don't you know, some people, I'm talking to her, but I'm looking at her. You ever know, I knew this girl way back. When she was talking, she didn't look, she looked up. Yeah, you know, blah, blah. I'm like, she'll be talking for a long time, just looking up. I'm like, you talking to the Most High? Who are you talking to? But I've seen that. So now, I gotta be more mature. If that does happen, right? Why would you come to me? Then I said, nah, brother, I was talking to Zaquan Napash. I wasn't really talking to you. You know? You might say, well, it sounded like you was talking about me. Like, ask the brother what I said. Ask the brother what I said, right?
Right.
All of this sounds so easy. Not done. It's usually not done. The opposite is done. I keep it in my mind, right? And I build up feelings against you, then all of a sudden I hate you. I wish death upon you. Hope that brother don't make it this week. Right?
Oh, when you get that truck run you over.
Truck run right over, in your garments. Right? Because Satan never sleeps. His angels never sleep. So the minute something happens, they're going to hop on that real quick, right? Real quick. So you got to be the one to exercise wisdom and do what the Most High said. Read on.
But he that is slow to anger appeaseth strife.
Read that again, bro.
But he that is slow to anger appeaseth strife.
So you got to be slow to anger. That's what the Most High wants. You know, it's spirits on you that make you get angry so fast. It's spirits on you that make you open that mouth like that. But self-control is of the Most High. That's a man of the Most High. That's a woman of the Most High. Self-control. You know, you don't want to be the one that as soon as something is said, boom, you just go in that, but it ain't got nothing to do with you. Nobody was talking to you. Nothing. You know, you ever have a conversation and out of nowhere comes Mr. C. I'm A, you're B. Here comes Mr. C from nowhere. All up in the conversation like we was talking about him. I ain't even see him. What are you doing here? You understand what I'm saying? But that's a man that the Most High doesn't like. That's an immature man right there. You understand what I'm saying? And we've all seen it coming up. And we should not be like that. Because then that breaks harmony. Okay? The Most High wants family, brotherhood, sisterhood. Oneness of the mind. Okay, and if you see an occasion where that oneness of the mind can be broken, what do? Fix it, heal it, address it, so that those spirits of Satan don't get the best of us. Okay, because like I said, I've been up in council where brothers are all up in each other's faces. You know what I'm saying? Over simple things, man. That's my garment. You know what I'm saying? Why you copy my garment? Why my garment look like yours? I had it first. Sound like some old kindergarten stuff, right?
Right.
Grown people argue over that. I've seen it. And get ready to throw serious blows over a garment. I went to the same tailor. What can I tell you? That's a simple answer, right? All right, so go talk to him. What you talking to me for? All right, let's leave from here and go to the book of Proverbs 15:1. This is something that it's not in the same book, something that we all have to exercise and practice. Read, brother.
Read for the book of Proverbs, chapter 15, verse 1. A soft answer turneth away wrath.
There's that word wrath again. But it's showing you the way to get over that. A soft answer turneth away wrath. It's not always easy to do that though. Because sometimes when people come at you, your blood starts to boil, right? Angry, like, nah, I know you ain't talking to me like this. No, you ain't talking. No, come on, man. Right? That anger's starting to boil, right? So now, are you able to produce a soft answer in the midst of that moment? Are you able to step back and just kind of inhale and exhale? Or do you just go right at, nah, we ain't doing like that, right? All of a sudden you're loud. But it says, a soft answer turneth away wrath. How do you get to the point where you can deliver a soft answer when you're being given, or what's being thrown at you is a hard answer, like something that is meant to make you angry? How did you deal with it in the past, in the world? Think about that. You ain't got to answer. You got to raise your hand. Nothing like that. I know what I did. A couple of times I know what I did. I was loud as hell. I wanted to fight. Yeah. Talking about me. Why are you talking about me? Go talk about somebody else. Go talk about your mama. Right? But what I'm trying to remember, look, when we came up, we saw a lot of bad examples in the public, but also in our families. I saw women getting ready to go and win at it. I saw men in my family going at it, pulling out knives and all that. And you know they're Benjamin too, man. They're good with that knife, right? And I'm saying I've seen these things as a kid. I'm like, how do you solve this? You know, because the kid, no, uncle, don't do that, uncle. Oh no, don't stab him. You got a little child saying that? Listen, I've seen people stabbed over foolishness in the family. You understand? And people with knives at each other's throat. But how did they get there? I'll tell you how they got there. They were played by Satan. And what it says here, a soft answer turneth away wrath, they had nothing to do with that. All they knew, you said something about them, they wanted to say something about you, but it had to be bigger, hotter.
Right.
Okay? Cause more drama.
Right.
Okay? People talking about, oh, why you so dark? Most time made me like that. That's what I started to do a long time ago when I was a kid. They was always talking about how black I am. I'm like, all right, so God made me like this.
Right.
Okay? But that's a soft answer that comes with time, because in the beginning, like, who are you talking about, man? What? I remember one time I worked at Orchard Beach, and it's the beach. I turned black like coal, right? I was at the beach, and I had the cart all day, and the sun was beating down on me, man. I was so dark. Went home one day, my cousin said, how you get so dark? Right? A couple other things came after that, like you dark. I remember this one girl they used to call her Baby Midnight. Baby Midnight. Right? To a young girl. Imagine how she felt?
Yeah, right.
But she was the same complexion as me. But the whole point of the matter is, in order to deliver a soft answer, you have to control yourself. Okay? You can't personalize everything. You can't take everything that people say as meaning something. Like, you can't give weight to it.
Right.
People diss you or disrespect you or call you names. Is that really you? Is that really you? You know what I'm saying? If somebody calls you an N, are you an N? You're not an N, you're Israelite.
Right.
Somebody calls you a B, are you a B? You're not a B, you're a princess of the Most High. You're an Israelite, right? You got to reflect on that. You got to go back into that. It's not easy. Easy for me to say it from here, but in the midst of the moment, that's what you got to do. Because, go ahead, Ben.
Yeah, correct, because I think that's one of the hardest things for humans to really control. Is when somebody come at you in a derogatory or in a stern way.
Right.
It has to be a natural gift that you have to control that feeling and emotion. Because the first instant when somebody come at you, for example, somebody comes, yo, get your ass up, pick that thing up. Your first reaction is like, who the hell are you talking to?
There you go.
That's your first reaction. It's like, what? That's fighting words. But for some people, a lot of people, in order for you to hold back your tongue, that's a gift you have to have within you, a natural gift that the Most High give you.
Right.
In order to control your temperament, not reacting to what they said.
Right.
But most people, the first reaction is like, what the hell are you talking to?
Right, right.
That's your first reaction. Because you're going to go for it.
True Benjamin, I hear you. You see, like I said, it's not easy. It's a gift, but guess what? Faith is a gift. Right? To be able to preach and teach, that's a gift. That's a gift that's developed. It takes time. Okay, it's not always going to happen like that overnight. You know, but you have to reflect back on how you were as a child or a teenager. Now, seeing where you are in life, you're a man, you're a woman now. Are you still acting like a child? Or are you still reacting like a child? You know what I'm saying? Is it that still knee-jerk reaction? You say something, I got to say something? Think about it, because then you're still acting like a child. Because that's what you did as a child. But now to get to this level right here, you have to control yourself. That's why breathing exercises are so good. You know what I'm saying? You ain't got to tell nobody you inhaling, exhaling. That's not their business. But you do it on your own. Read that again, brother.
That's verse
15 and 1. Verse 15 and 1.
A soft answer turneth away wrath, but grievous words stir up anger.
Grievous words stir up anger. You have certain spirits that are always grievous. Always negative, right? They want to get you. Are you going to play into that? Or are you going to be spiritual and be a man, be a woman of the Most High? In here, more than likely, you're going to be a little bit more even-tempered, right? Right, but out there in the world, the matter is just the same. Don't make a fool out of yourself out there in the world. Okay, and in here, take it to the next level. It's not just being even-tempered, but talking to that person. What did you mean by that? You know what I'm saying? Talk to me. You got something against me? What's the problem? Right? It's not always easy to do. It's easier to be the grievous person if you think about it. It's easier to just go word for word, wrath for wrath, right? You're not pleasing the Most High when you do that. And that's the most important thing you have to remember. Before the words come out of your mouth, remember, you're not pleasing the Most High. So now you step back, you breathe, and you say, is this going to be okay with the Most High, what I'm about to say? Because you know what you're thinking. You know what you think. Right? You say I'm black, I'm saying you fat. Right? You say I'm ugly, I say, well, you ugly as you know what. Right? Right? But again, we laugh about it because it's childish. But if you go out into that world, you see so many adults doing it. And coming to the point where they stabbing each other nowadays.
Right.
They're killing each other. Don't, you know, like they said, you know, back in the days we fought with the fist, but now they just want to shoot each other, right?
Right.
So don't have yourself in that environment, and remember, even with you, a soft answer turneth away wrath, even in the public, on your job, on the train. Because these people today, they need to be on medication. Okay, so you need to do what the Most High said, so that you please the Most High, and the Most High can deliver you. How many times you watch the news and you hear about people on the train just fighting and spraying each other and stabbing each other over what? Nothing. All right, so you have to be a spiritual man, a spiritual woman all the time. Verse 2.
Verse 2. The tongue of the wise useth knowledge aright, but the mouth of fools poureth out foolishness.
So you have to ask yourself, is my answer foolish? Because you might be a wise person, but what comes out of you might be foolish and causes wrath. Okay? You can't just be a Shabbat Israelite. You got Sunday Christians, right? Are we Shabbat Israelites? Where we here on the Shabbat, we good, you know, we read, we sing, we all of that. But then on, you know, Sunday morning, you somebody else? Nah. What you learn today, you got to exercise today, tomorrow, and so forth and so on. Okay? That's very important. And that tongue is the hardest thing to really control. But that tongue is only a reflection of what's up here. Once it's here, you got a chance to draw it back, silence it, switch it around. You got all that.
Right.
But don't be so quick to answer. That's the key thing. I see many people in arguments, they talk about them, you this, you that, you this, you that. You just laugh and walk away. That's the smartest thing you could do.
Right.
Laugh and walk away. Come back later. Yeah. But at that moment in time when you know you can't do nothing else but give in, walk away. Okay? And like I said, the tongue, man, it's, whoo. Sometimes things come off your tongue that you got to think about later. Where did that come from? Satan. That's where that came from. Because you're going to say, well, I didn't mean to say that. I didn't mean to call her that or say that to her. Right, Ben? Yeah. Get her out.
But you think sometimes it's people's tongue is moving faster than the brain is thinking?
Yes.
Because sometimes somebody can say something right away, you're ready to respond with your tongue. You didn't even let the brain get a chance to think about it and respond. But that tongue is so fast and quick, man. You know, somebody wonders as if your tongue is faster than your brain, man.
Sometimes it is. Because you think about how many things you could think about in 1 second in your mind. About 100 things.
Right.
But now you're going to choose the best thing so you look good, right? It said, don't say nothing. That's what the brain said. Walk away, laugh. But now he's like, no, I got to get this man. Right? So you chose that answer. Just like that. Before you could even blink, you got an answer.
Right.
Because Satan is there, right there with you. Oh, he called you such and such. Talk about his mama. He hates that, right? Talk about his mama. Right? Talk about his weight. Talk about his skin color. Talk about how you did in school. You ain't got no good job. You working 5 a dime. Right? You working Dollar General, man. Get out of here, right?
And God says with you, brother.
Go ahead, brother.
And another thing too, what I noticed too, like, you know, most yadi, first thing they'll tell you to really get you off your zone is, what? Go suck out your mama. That's fighting words.
Right.
Listen, many of bullets have been shot because of that same thing. Suck out your mother. Right? Now, you don't even want to think about what that actually means, right? You don't even think about it. But that's the ultimate insult you could give. Right? Now, is that man gonna say, wait a minute, is he talking about me? My mother? You ain't doing all of that. All you got a response, right? You got to get something bigger than that. And when you ain't got nothing bigger, you peel out the cutlass, right? I mean, I shot my boy. Right? But listen, self-control, it's not easy.
Good.
It's for a spiritual person.
Right.
And it's for a person that can deflect. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Not absorb, but deflect. Right. Because in reality, if I say that to you, are you going to do it? Are you gonna do it, bro? You gonna do it, sis? So what are you really worried about? Can this man make you go suck out your mother? No, right? You're not gonna do it.
Right.
What are you really mad about?
Good.
Right? I was just say, Batiman, right? Are you a homosexual? Right? So what are you really mad about? But it's that minute, that second, that just, no, he ain't called me that. Right? Right? You gotta learn how to breathe, man. Inhale, exhale. You breathe it in, you exhale it out.
Right.
And it's done.
Right.
But because a lot of times when you give in, first thing you gotta remember, you're not pleasing the Most High. But then after all of that, you realize you didn't please yourself. Now you feel like a fool.
Right.
All right? So a soft answer takes time, but it's okay. You got time. You don't. It's not a race. You don't have to respond right away to what people say. Read it from the top, Proverbs 15:1.
Read from the book of Proverbs chapter 15 verse 1. A soft answer turneth away wrath, but grievous words stir up anger.
So in other words, he comes to me with the grievous words, I come back with the soft answer. Right? He comes to me saying, you know, you fat as hell, man. Good food, bro. Good food, man. Right? That's my answer. You look like you hungry anyway. You want some of this food? Right? But is it easy for me to do that? No, it's not. But that's what being a spiritual, patient person is all about. Okay, you don't want to be the same person you was doing the same thing that you did when you were a child. All right, so let's move from here. Go to the book of Colossians chapter 3, verse 3. Colossians 3, verse 3. We're all growing. You know what I'm saying? And we're all trying to get to that next level of spirituality. You know what, when Ash was teaching this morning, and he read the scripture that said, you know, what I do, you'll do greater. That takes a lot. Because the Most High is not going to give you that spiritual power so you can take down your brother or take down your wife. You know what I'm saying? Why would he? Why would he? Because your vessel is not clean. Your vessel is not worthy of something like that. Colossians chapter 3, verse 13.
Read from the book of Colossians chapter 3, verse 13.
Matter of fact, hold on. Go to verse 12.
Forbearing one another and forgiving one another, if any man have
read that again for
quarrel,
brother. Colossians, we're in the book of Colossians chapter 3. We're reading verse 12.
Verse 12. Put on therefore as the elect of the Most High, holy and beloved.
Remember those words. The elect of the Most High, holy and beloved. All those words should always be in your mind. This is who I am. I'm chosen by the Most High. I'm elected. I'm loved by the Most High. Read on.
Bowels of mercies.
Bowels of mercies. Why? Because this way you have the right answer. This way you could look and say, wait a minute, this man is in the world. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Right? Or if it's a brother, this brother's just not in his right mind today. He's not, you know what I'm saying? Because that's what the Most High expects of you. Read on.
Kindness, humbleness of mind, meekness, long-suffering.
All of these things you got to put on to be called a spiritual man, a spiritual woman. Because outside of that, what are you? What are you? You're just some fool in the street. The Most High's not dealing with fools. Okay? Because he's not going to represent him right. So the Most High wants you to be what? Merciful, kind, humble, and meek. And what? Also long-suffering. That's the hard part. Because sometimes these spirits are sent after you, or sent to you, to test you, to try you. So every time you come with that knee-jerk reaction, you failed. You failed. The Most High sent that person to you. Might even be somebody that you're close with, your mother, your father, somebody that you respect, somebody that you want honor from, somebody that you want for them to see that, okay, I'm a different person. I said I'm an Israelite, I'm trying to talk to you about the laws, right? All of a sudden that person flips on you, and then what do? You come with a knee-jerk reaction, because then it makes you look like you're a fool, right? Makes it look like this is nothing, right? Makes it look like being an Israelite is foolishness, because you're still doing what you did before. So meditate before you answer. Think before you answer. Sometimes you got to swallow it. Sometimes you got to take low. These things are not easy. Not easy, because people will come to you and at you with the most hurtful things. Provoking, yes. Provoking things. But that's the Most High testing you. Okay? That's the Most High testing you. We are all tested day and night. Okay, so when I say it's not easy, but it's a part of that walk that you have to walk. Next verse.
Verse 13. Forbearing one another and forgiving one another. If any man have a quarrel against any, even as Yahushua forgave you, so also do ye.
Yes. Yahushua was tried. He was tried. And he was approved of by the Most High. Okay, remember he had all these people trying to do what? Kill him. Getting him arrested, right? Trying to catch him in his words. Okay? All the time. And who are these people? Sometimes the chief priests, the Pharisees, the Sadducees, the scribes, tested him so he could slip up and say the wrong thing. But you realize he didn't do that knee-jerk reaction thing. He would ask them a question that would make them feel stupid. You got to think about that before you do it.
Right.
And that's what the scriptures is trying to show you. You got to step back
Right.
and think. If you insult me, there must be a reason why you're insulting me. Maybe you don't feel good about yourself, so you want to make me feel bad. So I'm going to make you feel good. Okay, you call me black and ugly, look like tar, and all that. I'm going to come to you with something else. Brother, you know what? Your house shot is black, bro. I don't even know if you know this, but he blacker than me. So what you gonna do? Right? So I made you feel away now, right? Because you're like, nah, I can't even talk about this blackness no more. Right? That's how you gotta be. You gotta really be smart on your feet, because if not, you didn't pass your tests. What tests that you don't pass, you have to repeat. Okay, so it's important that we, like get up under ourselves and realize who we are. Yes, I am black. The Most High made me like this. Okay, but my thing has always been to people like, how much lighter are you than me? You know what I'm saying? I've always had to ask people that question. And what is the point? If you're lighter, does it mean that you're more special? What does that mean? The Most High made all of us. Okay, and when it talks about Yahushua, for example, in Isaiah 53, it doesn't talk about him being this attractive, strapping guy. Right. It just talks about him in another light. But the whole point of the matter is, if you have security within yourself, high self-esteem, no matter what I say to you, shouldn't matter. Shouldn't matter.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If you are concerned about the color of your skin, your weight, you're concerned about, your education level, where you live, don't worry about none of that. That's something between you and the Most High. Okay, and that's very important. Where we at?
Verse 13 was finished.
Okay. Read verse 14.
Verse 14. And above all these things, put on charity, which is the bond of perfectness.
You want to be perfect, put on charity. Those that are mean to you, be kind to them. Not easy, right? It's the best way to do things. Because after a while, they're going to leave you alone. Either they're going to turn around and be kind to you, or they're going to leave you alone like, I'm not getting to him. You know what I'm saying? And people that see you in that light, they leave you alone. Because they see you on another level.
Right.
And that's the level you want to be on, a spiritual level. Okay? Don't be in garments and cussing and making noise out there, because you look foolish. Talking about the Bible, you got the sword next to you, all that's coming out of your mouth is 4-letter words. It's happened. It happens in camps to some people. But they're not on that spiritual level. You can't be teaching the sick and talking to them as if you are sick. They're using sick words at you, talking about your mother and this and that. How do you look throwing the same thing back?
Right.
Then you're both sick. Why is anybody talking? You understand what I'm saying? So when Yahushua came, he said what? I came for the sick. And like we went over this morning, he was so right that even when they touched the hem of his garment, they were healed because he was so pure. Okay, so how did he get that way? He had to meditate, because it's not like he didn't have enemies around him trying to do him wrong. You have enemies around you, visible and invisible. That's going to try to take you away from the person that the Most High wants you to be. That new man, that new woman. Okay, but that new man and new woman has one thing that's very important. Self-control. Okay? You don't want to be that new man just for today, right? Just while you're here on the Shabbat, okay, or just from 12 to 5. It doesn't make sense, right? You want to be that new man, period, a new woman, period. Now, when it talks about perfection, that takes practice. You're going to slip up. But at the same time, remember your goal, where you're trying to get to. You're trying to be a saint of the Most High. I never heard of no saint with no 4-letter word cussing and finger giving and all of that, right? All right, so now let's move from here and let's go to the book of Matthew chapter 5, verse 9. Bearing one another's burdens is important. Putting on charity is even more important. Okay? Let that come from you instead of words that are insults. Because the scripture says, if you don't love your brother, how could you love the Most High? That's so important. You show love for the Most High by loving your brother and loving your sister. And that's just the way it is. Because the Most High is going to say, well, you said, Barakatha Yahweh, Barakatha Yahushai to me in your prayers. but you turn to your brother and your sister and you said something totally opposite. Okay, so in order to show me love, you have to show them love. Okay? Matthew 5 and 9.
Read from the book of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 9. Blessed are the peacemakers.
Blessed are the peacemakers. And you can read this whole thing. This whole thing. You can start at verse 3. Read verse 3.
Verse 3. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven.
Go ahead.
Verse 4.
Whoever that is, can you turn that off? Go ahead.
Verse 4. Blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted.
Right?
Verse 5. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are they which do hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see the Most High. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of the Most High.
Verse 10.
Verse 10. Blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven.
Read on.
Verse 11. Blessed are ye, men, when men shall revile you, and persecute you, and shall say all manner of evil against you falsely, for my sake.
For my sake. So everything we've been talking about is in here. It's a part of your trial. It's a part of what you have to go through. You're not going to become that saint by just staying by yourself. You're going to become that saint by being tried over and over again. People are going to say things about you. They're going to look at you a certain way. Okay, they're going to, matter of fact, they might even just totally ignore you.
Right.
Okay? So what does that mean? It means that you're being tried to be one of these persons. Okay? You can go from being mean to being merciful. From being mean to being charitable. But in the beginning, you might start out by being mean. That's your old character, the old you. But the Most High is trying to build you up to be a kind person, a merciful person, a charitable person, because that's when He accepts you. When you're mean and you're dissing, He doesn't want that. Okay, let's read on. Matter of fact, I want you to read this, and just when you read these words, see if they apply to you. Really see if they apply to you. Are you merciful? Are you pure? You know what I'm saying? Are you a peacemaker? Are you a peacemaker? Your history. Check your history. Are you a peacemaker? Now, check this out. Look in your past and see what you were. Look in your present and see what you are.
Right.
Okay? Because if you see the same person in the present that you saw in the past, you're not acceptable to the Most High.
Good.
You haven't grown. You haven't done anything.
Right.
But yet you want spiritual gifts. You want blessings.
Right.
Right? That's not what it says here, right? No, you ain't getting none of that. None of that. You understand what I'm saying to you? You got to fit one of these characters, man. Pure in heart, merciful, kind, one or all. And then you're acceptable to the Most High. Because He's showing you, He said what? Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. If you don't have mercy, don't show mercy, how can you expect it?
Right.
Think about that for a minute. You want it, but you're not trying to show it.
Right.
Okay? So this clearly shows, and we should all read this when we get a chance and examine ourselves to see if we have the fruits of this thing, or we just wasting time.
Right.
Okay? So from there we go to the book of Genesis chapter 29 and 11. And in Genesis 29 and 11, this is a common thing that happens, with us. We don't see eye to eye, and we think certain things, and next thing you know, we're going at it, right? Brothers do it, sisters do it, kings do it. They've done it. They've had wars over foolishness. Okay, go to verse 14. Go to verse 14.
Reading from the book of Genesis, chapter 29.
No, Genesis 30 and 14.
30 and 14.
Right.
And Reuben went into the days of wheat harvest, and found mandrakes in the field, and brought them in unto his mother Leah. Then Rachel said to Leah, give me, I pray thee, of thy son's mandrakes.
So mandrakes was supposed to be some sort of like a stimulant, you know, like a sexual stimulant. So when she saw that, she said, give me that. Now you remember, this is a very great history because Jacob loved Rachel, but he ended up with Leah.
Done.
But while he was with Leah, of course he learned to, love Leah. But nonetheless, his heart was always towards Rachel. So now Leah, finding out that she wasn't the loved one, it angered her. Right? She's like, how come you don't love me? I'm your first wife. First wife. Now the first wife, is supposed to be beloved and taken care of and all that. And the scripture called her tender-eyed. While Rachel was described as being so beautiful, right? Now, the term tender-eyed has been debated many times what it actually means. Was she ugly? Was she cross-eyed? All that. But nonetheless, she was the first wife. So she deserved respect, right? Let's read on.
Verse 15. And she said unto her, is it a small matter that thou hast taken my husband?
Now Leah's saying this, right? Yeah, go ahead.
And wouldest thou take away my son's mandrakes also? And Rachel said, therefore he shall lie with thee tonight for thy son's mandrakes.
Right. So it's an argument between their sisters. First of all, back then the Most High allowed that. But that closeness is going to automatically bring your argument. Because now your sisters sharing the same husband. And the question is always going to come up, well, who does he love more? Who does he enjoy being with more? Who's more popular with the husband? Right? So that's going to always bring arguments. But it just shows you what one is thinking and what the other one is thinking. Read on.
Verse 16. And Jacob came out of the field in the evening, and Leah went out to meet him, and said, thou must come in unto me.
Right. So that's what Leah's saying, because she felt like, she was being slighted. Like you always want to be around Rachel and stuff because she all of that. You know what I'm saying? But remember, he saw Rachel first.
Right.
Fell in love with her.
Right.
Okay, and then he met Leah, and then basically Jacob was duped. Because Laban made him think he was marrying Rachel, but kind of slipped Leah in the wedding chamber. Right? So now Jacob naturally felt the way about it. Leah felt the way about it because she felt what? Like, she's second, whatever you want to call it, right? Like, what's wrong with me? But Laban claims, that's the family tradition. We give the elder first.
Right.
Makes sense, right? But nonetheless, that's not what the man wanted.
Right.
He could have told Jacob, no, we don't do it like that. You got to go with the older first. So then he could decide is that what I want to do. So Laban was very devilish. When you read the history of all that he did to Jacob, it's very devilish. Okay, but read on.
For surely I have hired thee with my son's mandrakes. And he lay with her that night.
And he lay with her that night. You understand? And that's the way that went down. You understand? That's the way they settled things back then. But nonetheless, sibling rivalry, it's always going to be there, right? But the same thing with brotherhood and sisterhood. Something's always going to be there in between you to cause arguments. You know what I'm saying? And with Leah, like I said, she felt like she was being slighted.
Right.
And she was basically saying there's nothing wrong with me, and I am the oldest, right? But think about it. Before Jacob came along, wasn't Rachel more pretty than her than Leah? Yeah. So how do you think Leah felt all her life? Like she was like second hand, But how does a spiritual person deal with that? How does Jacob deal with that? Because his heart is still for Rachel. You know what I'm saying? But nonetheless, Leah is the first wife. And he was with Leah for, what, you call it 14 years before he got Rachel. He worked 7 plus 7, right? So you got to really think about that. And it shows you how long in the mindset of Leah, how long people can suffer. Okay? Can suffer a long time. Right. And in suffering, it can make you turn to another person, another character. Suffering is a part of trials. Okay? That's something you have to understand. You might go through something for a long time. The Most High is patient, trying to make you patient.
Right.
So you might suffer a long time until you come out that person you want to be. Let's go to the book of 1 Samuel chapter 19. And what causes what we go through sometimes, a lot of times actually, is these spirits that we don't acknowledge around us. And we don't recall or remember that spirits are at work all the time. All the time, to the point where you might even want to kill somebody, right? You might want to take them out, you know, because of jealousy or envy, right? You might want to do away with them because they were more handsome, more pretty, got more than you, or they're more liked. Okay? So let's go to the book of 1 Samuel chapter 19. We're going to start at verse 8. These are what you can call human emotions, conditions. And when you read about that, you have to put yourself in the picture to see how you would react. 1 Samuel chapter 19, verse 8.
1 Samuel chapter 19, verse 8. And there was war again. And David went out and fought with the Philistines, and slew them with a great slaughter. And they fled from him. And the evil spirit from the Most High was upon Saul.
Now, do you understand how that sentence sounds? It sounds a way, right? Like, is this what it said? Read it again so they hear it, bro.
Reading for the book of 1 Samuel chapter 19, verse 9. And the evil spirit from the Most High was upon Saul. And he sat in his house with his javelin in his hand. And David played with his hand.
So, again, this is a trial. It's a trial for Saul, and it would become a trial for David. Okay? Saul was king. David was his arm bearer. David was the man that, no matter what, was more popular than Saul. From the beginning, when David was first brought into the scenario, he became more popular with the soldiers, okay, with the nation, than Saul. So he was always more popular. So what happened to Saul over a period of time? Because you're reading about the evil spirit from the Most High. But it comes with what? Jealousy, envy, anger, hatred. It doesn't just come like that. Right. So now it says what? And there was war again, and David went out. Remember, David went out before and fought Goliath and won the hearts of everybody.
Right.
But yet he wasn't king. Saul was king, and Saul couldn't defeat him.
Right.
So that's going to breed envy and jealousy. You understand? And that's where these spirits come in and try to play you. All right? Read verse 10.
Verse 10. And Saul sought to smite David even to the wall with the javelin.
What did David do to him? Nothing. He was just jealous. So Saul tried to hit David with the javelin to do what? Give him a hickey? Give him a tattoo? No, to kill him. What would drive you to want to kill another man when he did nothing to you? The evil spirit. That evil spirit. You now have to recognize when that evil spirit is on you, because it's going to make you feel different than you. Okay? It's going to make you feel different than your character. Anything that makes you all of a sudden now want to go as far as killing somebody, you got to think about it. This is not me. It's not you. It's a spirit that's on you, but it's going to be in your flesh to the point where you feel like you really want to do that. Read on.
And David fled and escaped that night. Verse 11. Saul also sent messengers unto David's house to watch him and to slay him in the morning.
So even though Saul had time to calm down and think about it, he still sent men out to slay David. What did David do? Nothing. But Saul knew within his heart, and Samuel came and told him later on, that the Most High had chosen David over him. You understand? So Saul now, being king, got jealous. You understand? But to the point where he wanted to kill David. This is how spirits play you. You might not go as far as wanting to kill somebody, but you might dislike somebody, right? But what is hatred in the Bible of a brother? Murder.
Murder. Done.
Yahushua said that's murder.
Done.
If you hate your brother in your heart, that's murder. So how much different would you be? If you're in here and there's somebody that you hate so much that, you know, the hate grows. It's in your heart. How much more different are you? So when you bring it back down from the level of physical murder to mental murder, you're not different. You're not different. So we got to be careful that we don't go to that level. Let's read on.
And Michael's David's wife told him, saying, if thou save not thy life tonight, tomorrow thou shalt be slain.
Thou shalt be slain. Ephesians 4:26. In being that perfect person, or coming to being that perfect person, it doesn't mean that you're not going to experience some of these feelings that you felt before. You're not going to slip back into that character, but you got to learn how to overcome that character, overcome those feelings, and be the person that the Most High wants you to be. Ephesians chapter 4, verse 26 says this.
Read for the book of Ephesians chapter 4, verse 26. Be ye angry and sin not.
Be ye angry and sin not. We've read this many times, right? It's what the Most High wants. It's what you have to accomplish. It's the level that you have to come on. James chapter 1, verse 19. Okay? Be ye angry and sin not. That's how you please the Most High. Are you going to get angry? Yes. What do you do now as a righteous person that's angry in comparison to a wicked person that's angry? Sin not. Don't sin with your mouth. Okay? Don't sin with your hands. Then you please the Most High. James 1:19.
James 1, verse 19. Wherefore, my beloved brethren, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath.
Slow to wrath. Same thing, right? But you got to be slow to wrath. You got to be eager to listen. Let people speak. And as they're speaking, calm down. Verse 20.
Verse 20. Wherefore, my beloved brethren, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, and slow to wrath. For the wrath of man worketh not the righteousness of the Most High.
You're not pleasing the Most High. Not pleasing the Most High. And that's something that we have to learn. Can't say, well, that's the work of the will of the Most. No, don't do that. Don't put it on the Most High. That's you. You failed your test. Okay? Not easy. It's not supposed to be. You're going to get the greatest reward there is, the kingdom of heaven. Who said it's going to be easy? Why would it be easy? Think about that. But every day you got to practice these things. Being patient, being hopeful. You got to practice how to control your tongue, how to keep your mouth shut, and speak when it's the appropriate time. And that appropriate time is only what? When you have control over yourself.
Done.
Okay? And you don't just want to just go with what the tongue tells you to say. Because you can't bring it back. You can't take it back.
Right.
Once you say something, it's out there. You can apologize forever, but it's too late. Okay? So these are the things that the Most High wants us to practice. Hebrews 12:14. And the beautiful thing about all of this is that we know that Yahushua went through all of these things. Okay? He had the disciples with him driving him crazy, right? He had Peter driving him crazy. Okay? And just saying all kind of things, right? But nonetheless, he was able to teach Peter. He had to rebuke Peter. When he said, get behind me, Satan, that's rebuking.
Done.
You understand? Sometimes you have to do that. Hebrews 12:14.
Read for the book of Hebrews chapter 12, verse 14. Follow peace with all men.
Follow peace with all men. Don't divide them up. I'm just going to be peaceful with the Israelites. It doesn't say that here. I'm just good with my brothers. When I go to the school on the Shabbat, I'm peaceful. Outside of that, I'm a warrior against the world. No, you ain't doing right. That's not what it says. Read that again.
Read for the book of Hebrews chapter 12, verse 14. Follow peace with all men and holiness.
And there's a reason why. You're being tested, you're being tried. But what is the reward? Read on.
And holiness without which no man shall see the Most High.
No man. So you talking about you just good with the Israelites or the brothers of the house of David, the sisters of the house of David? That's not good enough. What are you being tried for? What are you being built up for? Just to be good here? The kingdom of heaven is not just here. The kingdom of heaven is being built without your observation all over.
God.
You're a participant. You're a player in that scenario.
God.
Don't deny yourself. your goal because you know your mind is not right, telling you things that's not of the Most High. Don't just be cool with Zaquan the Posh. Because he's the video department, you know what I'm saying? Don't just do that. Don't just be cool with the sisters that bring food. You know what I'm saying? That's not pleasing to the Most High. You gotta be cool with everybody. And that's gotta be your nature, your spirit. That's how you have to be. Because when you're that way, then guess what? You're pleasing the Most High. What else would you want to do but please the Most High? Verse 15.
Verse 15. Looking diligently, lest any man fail of the grace of the Most High.
Do what? Fail. Fail. You don't want to fail. Read that again.
Looking diligently, lest any man fail of the grace of the Most High.
If the Most High's grace is taken from you, what happens to you?
You're done.
You're dead. That's what's saving you. That's what's saving us. Grace. So without that grace, we're ready to be put to death. Not just die, by the way. Not just die, but be put to death.
Put to death.
Okay, because he showed you the truth and he gave you grace. So without that now, you doing something that's totally the opposite. You're ready to be put to death. Saying dying is kind of nice. Okay, you die in your sleep. That's nice. That's nice. But the Most High put people to death in some vicious ways out here. Okay, we're not going to talk about it. Just imagine. Okay? And well, as you're imagining, make sure you're not in that position to be put to death like that. Okay? Let's leave from here and go to the book of, I need to write that down. Hebrews 13:1. This is very important. We're going to end up with these three scriptures. Hebrews 13:1.
Reading from the book of Hebrews, chapter 13, verse 1. Let brotherly love continue.
Let brotherly love continue. If you find that you have the spirit of strife, the spirit of envy, jealousy, and hatred, you have to get over that. And it's easy for me to say it, but the key is for you as the individual to recognize, is it in me? That's an honest question. Am I jealous of that brother because of his garment? Or that sister because how she cooks? Am I jealous of this or envious of that? Ask yourself that question. Because when you ask yourself that question, you recognize the kind of spirit that's in you. It might be small. It might be just growing, but you can stop it. Okay? And you might come to the understanding of what is wrong with you. Okay, what is ill, what is lacking, what needs to be fixed. You understand? Because if you don't be honest and ask yourself these questions, you're not pleasing the Most High. Okay? Forget about how you look to people. How do you look to the Most High?
Right.
Okay? How do you look? You might not have said a word, but there's nothing but jealousy and strife and envy just railing up in your mind like a storm. You know who sees that? Not me. I can't read your mind. The Most High.
Right.
He sees that. You might even appear to be good. Righteous. Shalom, brother. Shalom, sister. But in your mind, I can't stand her. I really don't like him, but shalom anyway. You understand what I'm saying? So, the Most High sees that. And you know, when you're saying that, the Most High hears that. Okay? And that's blocking your blessings. Examine yourself. Why am I feeling like that about the brother? He ain't do nothing to me. Sister, she ain't do nothing to me. You know what I'm saying? When you examine yourself, then you can fix yourself. If you don't examine yourself, then you're going to fail. Okay, read on.
Reading from the book of Hebrews chapter 13, verse 2. Verse 1. Let brotherly love continue.
It's just that simple. Let brotherly love continue. Don't be in opposition to it. Don't stop it. Don't be in the way of it. When you find yourself meditating on ways to not be a part of it or to stop it, think, what am I thinking? Why would I do that? What am I thinking about saying or telling this brother, you know what that brother said about you? Think about it.
Wow.
Think about it. Okay, why am I meditating on that? What's he going to do for me? Am I going to make him like me more than him? You understand?
Right.
Think about that. Because sometimes it's really not you. It's really not you. It's these spirits that's in you that in your mind they sound like you. Right? But when you examine it, it's like, that's not me though. I wouldn't do that.
Right.
But the more you don't examine them and find them out and find where they are in you, the more they take you over. Think about Legion. Do you think he started out naked? I'm just saying. Do you think the brother started out naked? No. All these spirits, over a period of time, just took him over. Right? I mean, he running around in the graveyard, naked, talking to yourself. I am Legion. He didn't start out like that. Legion means many, right? Means many, right? But he started out as one. Might have started out as envious, jealous, hateful. He might have started out just like that one. So you have to find yourself, examine yourself, go into yourself and say, what's in me? Okay? Because you don't want to end up like Legion, because then it's too late. Yahushua is not here right now. So you might be running around naked for a while. You understand what I'm saying? So the point of the matter is you can go into yourself and stop that before it gets too far. If you need to talk to somebody, please, we can do that. We can do that, because sometimes you might say, I keep doing the same thing, but I can't stop. Having the same thoughts and I can't stop them. You need to talk to somebody. First thing you're going to do is say, pray for me. And we're all going to pray faithfully. Okay, but then you want to address it with somebody. You know, you might want, listen, if you trust somebody, talk to them. Don't trust everybody. I'm telling you that straight up. Don't trust everybody. Because what you tell them might end up on the 7 o'clock news. Okay? Then you're like, wait a minute. I only told that one brother that story. Right? So, careful. But then also, if you need to have counsel, we can do that. Okay? If you need to be, if you need somebody to help you examine yourself, or if you need someone to really just bring you into the light of who you are, just by talking, just like how you have a psychologist or a psychotherapist, whatever, you can lay on the couch and they ain't gonna lay on the couch up in here, but no. You can sit, you can sit and talk and we'll show you what's going on. Because we're gonna go right up in here. Because this is the medicine, this is the medication, right here. Okay, a lot of us are not right. Because we're dealing with spirits, we're dealing with all kinds of things. Let's go to the book of Proverbs chapter 7 verse 4. But the idea is to what? Let brotherly love continue. Let sisterly love continue. Be a part of that. Play your part. Do your role. If you know you got a problem with eye service and eye rolling and all of that, wear shades or something. No, I'm just joking. Don't wear shades. Control yourself. Stop. What am I doing? You understand what I'm saying? All right. Proverbs 7 and 4.
Read for the book of Proverbs, chapter 7, verse 4. Say unto wisdom, thou art my sister.
Beautiful, beautiful. Read it again.
Say unto wisdom, thou art my sister.
And what do you want to do with your sister? You want to take care of your sister. You want to make sure she's all right. Nobody's harming her. She ain't harming herself, right? But now it says what? Again from the top?
Say unto wisdom.
You're talking to wisdom now. The higher thought. The spiritual thought. Who created wisdom? The Most High. From the beginning. So that's who you're talking to. Say unto wisdom. Read.
Thou art my sister.
Read.
And call understanding thy kinswoman.
Call understanding thy kinswoman. In other words, somebody close to you. Related to you. Okay, someone that you really truly care for, that you want to take care of. So it says, say unto wisdom, thou art my sister, and call understanding thy kinswoman. Read.
Verse 5. That they may keep thee from the strange woman, from the stranger that flattereth with her words.
And the reason why I went there is because it says a strange woman, but it's not always just a strange woman. But it's somebody that flattereth with the words that are what? Trying to take you away from the Most High. Bring you back to where you were before. You know what I'm saying? To being that foolish man, that foolish woman. Okay, but when people talk to you now with the flattering words or whatever they're saying to you, you can examine yourself, say, is that appealing to me? You know what I'm saying? And if it's still appealing to you, then yes, you need to talk to somebody. Okay? You need to express yourself. Because you might say, well, I've been in here for a while, and I still feel like I'm niggerish. Right? I hate how it sounds, but it's just what it is, right? And I still got my niggerish ways. That sounds a way, I know. But think about it. We've been niggers out there. And, you know, if you're offended at the word, just think about it. That's not what you want to be.
Right.
That's all that means.
Right.
You don't want to be a negro or nigger or whatever you want to call himself. Nigga. Right. Okay. You want to be none of these things, right? Right. So you understand what I'm saying, Ben? You understand what I'm saying, right? You don't want to be none of these things. You want to be an Israelite.
Right.
A prince of power. A princess of power.
Right.
So if you're harboring these thoughts or behavior, you know you're not right.
Right.
So again, pray to the Most High. We'll pray for you. Talk to somebody. If you need counsel, let's have counsel. Okay, and that's very important for the growth of the individual, which is the growth of the body. Okay, that's very important. And Proverbs chapter 1, verse 133. Last scripture. Proverbs 133. I'm sorry, Psalms 133. Yeah, my brother.
Before you go there, could you read Titus, the 3rd chapter, 1 to 2?
Okay, let's read that. Then we're going to go to Psalms 133. Titus, chapter what? 3?
Chapter 3, 1 to 2.
Okay, my brother.
Titus chapter 3.
Yeah. Where you get it, bro? There's a lot of challenges that we face, and we face them every day. Okay? The book of Titus is kind of hard to find, but it's actually right after Timothy's.
Yep.
Okay? Titus chapter 3,
verse
1 and 2.
1 and 2. Read for the book of Titus chapter 3, verse 1. Put them in mind to be subject to principalities and powers, to obey magistrates, to be ready to every good work. Verse 2. To speak evil of no man, to be no brawlers, but gentle, showing all meekness unto all men.
Right, so to speak evil of no man, showing no brawlers. Read that again. Speak evil of no man, to be no brawlers, but what? Gentle. Showing all what? Meekness unto all men. That takes practice, but that's what you got to put on. Okay? Remember.
Verse 2, yeah.
Okay, remember who you were in the world before you came into the truth. Don't forget that, because that's not the person you want to be. Okay, if you were swift with the tongue, you're good with my mama jokes, whatever, that's who you used to be. Okay? You don't want to be that person no more.
Right.
Now you want to be a righteous person, right, Ben? Exactly. So all of these things we read not just to teach, but to practice. Okay? Not just to call the scripture and tell the person where it is and, you know, say this to them, but also to apply. My brother, go ahead.
Go verse 3.
Go ahead.
Verse 3. For we ourselves also were sometimes foolish, disobedient, deceived, serving diverse lusts and pleasures, living in malice and envy, hateful and hating one another.
That summarizes everything. Thank you, Ben. I appreciate that. That summarizes everything. And it says we also were, meaning what? All of us were participants with these emotions. And these emotions are spirits. Okay?
God.
We were foolish.
Right.
We were disobedient. We were deceived. We were serving diverse lusts and pleasures. Yes, that's the main thing. Serving diverse feelings, emotions. Okay?
Right.
Sometimes we were ticked off just like that.
Right.
Because we had a temper. Okay, so we were serving. You know what serving means? You're a slave to these things. Okay, so I always give this example.
Wow.
If I can come to you and make you mad every time I see you, I control you.
God.
I control you. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So the opposite of that is what? Me being a brother and coming to you, making you feel good. Because that's what the Most High wants, right? So it also says what? Serving diverse lusts and pleasures, living in malice, hatred, and envy. Hateful and hating one another. Why would you want to hate one another?
Right.
Think about that. Why would you want to come through the door out of hate to a place where you can find love and be loved, but yet you still exhibit the behavior you had outside?
Right.
So now that's you being deceived.
God.
Okay, thinking, okay, it's gonna make me like I was. I'm gonna be popular. They're gonna see me. They're gonna hear me. You know what I'm saying? My name. Okay? You don't want that.
God.
The hardest thing for us to do is to realize that the Most High sees us, hears us,
Right.
individualizes us. Because he made us.
Done.
I don't have to shine to anybody because the Most High sees me.
All praises.
All praises. Think about that. So all that we did out there, we ain't got to do in here. If you talked a lot out there, you ain't got to do it in here. If you showed off a lot out there, don't do it in here. Or when I say in here, I mean amongst us. But now when you go back out there, my brothers, my sisters, remember, don't do it no more out there. What's the point? Your Father in heaven sees you, acknowledges you. You are important to him.
Right.
So why are you out there making a fool out of yourself?
Right.
Let's go to Psalms 133, last scripture. And we all know it. Let's meditate on it.
Done.
This is Psalms 133. Very short, but to the point. Read on.
Done. Read from the book of Psalms, chapter 133, verse 1. Behold, how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity.
And meditate on that. Just how much better that is than when we're arguing with each other, hating each other, or envying each other. But a situation where you don't have strife. Read it again.
Verse 1. Behold, how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. It is like the precious ointment upon the head that ran down the beard, even Aaron's beard, that went down to the skirts of his garment. Verse 3. As the dew of Hermon, and as the dew that descended upon the mountains of Zion. For there the Most High commanded the blessing, even life forevermore.
Even life forevermore. Peace is better than war any day. Unity is better than strife. Unity is better than division. So that's why it starts off by talking about what? Unity.
Done.
It's a beautiful thing when we could all come together and say, you know what? The new moon is on June 11th. What are we going to do to make it special to us? Okay, that's in the spirit of what? Love, right?
Done.
I'm going to bring this, I'm going to bring that, I'm going to do this. Okay, good. Let's do it. Okay, so the new moon is on June 11th, okay?
Done.
So what y'all could do, think, you know what y'all could do and what I do when I think about coming here, I think of being peaceful among people that love me, people that I love to talk to and see and so forth. So just meditate on that. But most important, I'm trying to explain to you, don't just be good and righteous in here. The Most High judges you out there also.
Done.
Okay? So if things is going on the job, be your same righteous, humble, peaceful self. Okay? In the house, husband, wife, mother, father, sister, brother, be that example. Shalom.
Shalom.